Hello, hello. Welcome to the PCS Grades live webinar. I'm so excited to be back here with you today. I'm Tessa Robinson, the webinar hostess, and today we have a very important topic and really exciting one to talk about: military teen voting. And here to talk to us today are two lovely experts, both wonderful people and very good to talk to about this important topic. Raleigh and Kate, I'm going to let you introduce yourselves. Raleigh Detweiler, you're on the chopping block first. Tell us a little bit about you and your organization.
Well, hey, everybody. I am Raleigh Detweiler, and I am the Director of Outreach at the National Military Family Association, NMFA. Many people watching today might know NMFA from our Operation Purple programming. So our summer camps, maybe you've attended one of our family retreats, maybe your kids or the kids next door have attended one of our summer camps at locations across the country. Or maybe you know us from our spouse scholarship program, or even our Neighbor in the Know project that we did with our friends here at PCS Grades. No matter where you are in your military life journey, NMFA is by your side. We have been advocating for and building programming to support military families like yours and mine for over 50 years. And we are thrilled to keep doing that in new ways, like today with our friends here at SFI.
What a perfect softball for Kate. Thank you, Raleigh. Amazing. Kate, over to you. Tell us about you and tell us about SFI.
Awesome. Yeah, so happy to be here. Thank you for having us. My name is Kate Marsh-Lord. I am the Director of Communications at the Secure Families Initiative. We also have a little abbreviation, wouldn't be associated with the military if we didn't, SFI. And we are a group of military spouses and family members who are really concerned about advocating for a better future for us and the active duty service members. So we do that every way from focusing on voting, but we believe that's really where our duties begin and not where they end. So we also train military spouses and family members to be advocates for policies that will improve our lives and improve the safety of our service members.
Fantastic. We are so excited to have both of you here today. As you all know, PCS Grades, the best resource for you when it comes to moving and also to helping your family along the way. Moving around certainly makes voting challenging. It definitely does. And especially for these first-time voters. I love this topic because it is truly nonpartisan. Voting is everybody's civic right. It's a privilege. And as so many military families sacrifice to protect that privilege, I think it's really important that we talk about it. So Kate, we're going to start with you. Tell us about the Military Teen Voter Initiative.
Sure. So we recognize that even as adults and as multiple time voters, the process to register to vote, especially when you're moving from location to location and duty station to duty station, is complicated. So we were trying to take some of the guesswork out for young and first-time military associated voters. And we saw it as a perfect opportunity to partner with our friends from NMFA to reach out to that younger audience and sort of demystify the process, and also add an element of encouragement and excitement, and just the fact that you're as a military affiliated family member, you have a great interest in making sure that your voice is heard. And this is a really easy and impactful way to do it.
Wonderful. Raleigh, why is it important to NMFA?
Well, I mean, we really love America, right? Like, it starts so simply. We really love America. We know you really love America. We love serving and supporting the families that serve America. But there's so many ways to do that. And there are ways to do that in uniform. We're thrilled you're doing it. Please also vote. There are ways to do it for those of us who stand beside the uniform. And for us, voting is so, so important. It's a way for us to make sure that we are getting our voices heard as military family members, making sure that we participate in this important process in America, right? Like, we do all of this work in our families to safeguard our country and our ideals. And my goodness, we have to carry that to the ballot box. But for us, it's not just this sort of like waxing poetic America ideal, although it definitely is that. It's also, though, that, we are longtime partners of SFI. We are partners on the Military Vote Coalition because this really is something that we believe very, very deeply in. It's important to go vote. It's important to participate in the process, to advocate for yourself. But more broadly, We've been working with military teens quite closely here at NMFA for the last 2 years. And since we have been doing that, we've partnered with Bloom, Empowering the Military Teen, and that wonderful organization of military teens is now part of the NMFA family. And we've learned so much in that process. We've done 2 years of a military teen experience survey with these kids, and the results are really astounding. And you can go to our website to learn more about them because, I mean, we learned so much about teens and their well-being, the way they feel connected at school or don't feel connected at school, how they're facing food insecurity, like the whole package. But one of the things that we also learned is 40% of these kids plan to join the military. 40% of our military teens plan to join the military. And for some of them, that's in a few months when they finish high school. For others, it may be after they finish college. But no matter when that time is, you don't have to wait to start serving America. You can do that right now. If you're of voting age, you can vote. And for the 60% for whom that wasn't the future that they envisioned, right? Their service to America doesn't stop. Their service to America is as an American voter. So that's like, this is sort of our happy cup of tea. NMFA started as a group of military spouses sitting around the table, determined to do better by their friends and walking the halls of Congress to make it happen. We believe in empowering ourselves. We believe in empowering our community. Voting is the best way to do it. Please vote.
Well, I don't know about you, Kate, but I just kind of want to sit here like this and just vote for you, Raleigh, whatever you're running for. I want
one day.
Raleigh for mayor or president or governor or whatever. So let's get into some of the brass tacks about what it looks like to be a military teen and voting. So Kate, I think you're our resident expert on the nuance of how this works. So let's start with, what is a home of record?
Yes. And first, let me just off the bat say, I'm going to try my best. A lot of these are really complicated answers. And we have some great resources on militaryteenvoter.com. So if anything I say isn't clear, or if I reference the website, that is a great place to go to start. And that's why we created it. So there was sort of this hub with the, like the basic information that military teens need to get registered. More specifically, to get into the nitty gritty, the home of record, as military teens, they may have a couple of places to pick from, the same as military spouses. So it's sort of your superpower, right? You can vote local to where you live now, or you can vote where your parents live. So for instance, I live in South Carolina now. I'm still an Ohio voter. That's where that is my home of record, my place that I have always planned to return. I have a driver's license. That's where, my home of record. So my teenager, when he reaches voting age, could pick to register right here in South Carolina because he lives here, has an address, has interest here, or could pick to attach to me or my husband and vote where we vote.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to ask you these questions like I'm a teenager, so curious about the voting process. My family is stationed in California and my parents are registered in Texas. Where do I vote?
You get to choose. So this is like, civilian voters don't have this choice. It's really a neat opportunity for military affiliated voters. So you can choose if you want to become a California resident and vote there, or you can copy your parents' residency and vote in Texas. Civilian kids, like I said, don't have that. But if you're living in the same place where your parents vote, so if you lived in California and your parents were California voters, that's where you would register. But in this situation, you have the choice to decide that you want to vote and set down roots a little bit in California and vote there, go for it, or you can follow your parents and vote in Texas.
Okay. So in your case, Kate, doesn't everybody love it when I go completely off script and just start asking questions as I think about that? So in your case, you're an Ohio voter. You're living in South Carolina. Let's say before you were in South Carolina, you were in Omaha, and before you were in Omaha, you were in California. Can your teenager pick any of those places, or does it have to have an affiliation with you and your current residence or your, as a parent, primary voting spot?
Again, my understanding is that it would have to tie to my, as the parent, you couldn't pick one of those other places. Now, if we lived overseas, that would change the calculus a little bit, because you could use sort of the last place you lived, even if someone else lives in that house now. But in the situation that you presented, I think you would have to go with, you couldn't just pick some place we had lived before. You would have to go either with the parent or where you're living now.
Okay, now let me throw another wrench in your plans.
Yeah.
What if I got in this scenario? What if I got my driver's license when we were stationed in Nebraska? Do I have to be a Nebraska voter?
That is a great question. And that is often sort of a tool or, one of the clues that we use to help determine where to register to vote. But that does not mean that you have to register to vote where you have your driver's license. So like I said, a lot of people might think that where your driver's license is from, that you're locked into that state, but it's not true. Driver's license, like I said, can sometimes be evidence, but that doesn't lock you into voting in that place.
Perfect.
Can I interject with something that I feel like is so important so I can wax poetic about America again? I am still not running for office. No, but okay. So this highlights how complicated it is, right? Like, this is not a civilian kid question. You're like 18, you go vote, probably alongside your parents. Yet a military kid has all these things to weigh. And it may be that the community that is the place their parents plan to return is not the community that they are invested in at their voting age. And it's such a wonderful opportunity for the parent, PCS grades watchers, and the teen to be in conversation about the communities that they want to build and the places you want to be and the things you want to invest in and what matters to you. Because all of the logistics of voting is really about showing up for your community. And these questions, which are so, so difficult and so, so nuanced, really come down to, how do I get involved and what is my community I'm getting involved in? And I think it's such a wonderful thing that, like, the complications exist and they force us to have these questions that civilian kids don't get to have. So it's like logistical difficulty, but it raises this awesome conversation to the table for parents.
Absolutely. And depending on, what your child wants to do and what party they want to support, they might think, ooh, Florida really needs my help, or Ohio really needs my help, or I'm actually wanting to vote in this little, civic league thing or school board here. I love that. I absolutely love that. So now take it from the big picture of what state do I vote in? Where do I go to register?
So I'm going to give you two options. If you are going to vote locally where you live, registertovote.org, or of course, militaryteenvoter.com. Those are great places to start. So it will take you to your state where you're going to register to vote because you're voting locally. If you are going to vote not where you live, so remote from where you live, whether you're overseas or you're going to vote in a different state, then we highly, highly recommend that you register to vote with the Federal Voting Assistance Program, FVAP.org, because they have specific rights and protections for military and overseas voters that you just don't get if you register to vote directly with your state or your Secretary of State. So those are you have a choice, but those are the two places that we recommend.
I think my favorite phrase of all time is "it depends," and I love that we're really building up to that.
You got to lean in here in this situation. We have to lean in really heavily to "it depends." It depends.
Absolutely. Okay, so now let's say your teenager Kate has decided to be a South Carolina voter, which is where you're stationed, and then next year your family moves to Washington State. What does your teenager need to do?
This is an easy answer. If they want to now register to vote in Washington, then they would just register to vote in Washington. You don't have to do, there's no extra step. Just register to vote in your new home of record and vote there. If you wanted to remain, if our family had plans to come back to South Carolina and we all wanted to maintain a voter residency here, then we would just request absentee ballots, but you don't have to do anything new.
Okay. And does the same for that apply? Let's say your South Carolina registered son decides that he wants to go to Alabama for college. So does he need to do anything differently if he's remaining a South Carolina voter?
Nope. He would just request his absentee ballot for South Carolina. But we do recommend if he were to go out of state and want to continue to vote in South Carolina, we would recommend then using the Federal Voting Assistance Program to register to vote, because it comes with those special protections, including automatically requesting your absentee ballot.
Okay. So now let's take it. I've gone through pretty much every state that I know. I've somehow used all of them in the conversation. So now I'm going to use my international experience to ask you questions about places like Germany and Turkey. What happens if you move overseas? How do you vote there?
Yep. and I feel like a broken record. I apologize. But the Federal Voting Assistance Program, they have the federal postcard application, and it's a simple form that you fill out, and it just is like multiple steps in one form. So we recommend you do it once a year. Unlike if you register to vote, you're set and you don't need to re-register every year. With the FVAP or the federal postcard application, fill it out every year. And then you will automatically be registered to vote in your state and receive absentee ballots.
Okay. Now, for the first-time voter, absentee ballot kind of makes it sound like you forgot something. What is, Raleigh, I'm going to kick it to you. What is an absentee ballot?
Don't kick the voting logistical questions to me. I solidly
absentee ballot is.
No, listen, I can be like the person who thinks you ought to go vote. I made sure I'm registered. I've made sure that the people inside my household who should be are also ensuring that they are registered. But I am solidly a go fill out, like, look at the flow chart and make sure I am doing the right thing. And I will let Kate, the expert, handle all of the logistical questions so that they're answered correctly.
Raleigh, have you ever voted via absentee ballot?
I have voted via absentee ballot, and part of why I am not answering this question is that it was a debacle. But before Kate answers the question, let me use this as a teachable moment. So my absentee ballot was a whole thing. I don't know how I did it wrong, but I got a letter that I did it wrong. It was very distressing to me. And I will be honest, that the next time I was supposed to vote, I was really nervous about it. I was nervous that I was going to somehow mess this up again. And you go in, and I was still like a new voter. I was voting absentee because I was in college, and I was like deeply invested in making sure that my hometown had a school board that I liked, as a matter of fact. It's like I really cared about the library and things that they were voting on. So I did the whole process, and then I messed it up, and we can all do that. But then the next time I was so nervous that I almost didn't vote. You're laughing. I walked to the polling place, and I'm like a fairly big personality, enough confidence kind of person. I got so nervous, guys, that I actually left and got a cup of coffee before I went back because I wasn't sure I was going to do it. I was shaking. It was all these adults, and I felt so young, and they all seemed to know what they were doing, and they seemed so businesslike. And I felt like I had done it wrong already. I wasn't going to be able to do it right again. And somehow I felt like I shouldn't, the process felt out of reach to me. And I feel like that's the thing that we're still here talking about. Why teens, why first-time voters? Because it is really hard. And sometimes it is really scary. And to do all of that in this most important thing that we do here in America, I don't know. This is why you have to go to the people who know what they're talking about, which is why we partnered with SFI for this project, and why Kate is going to answer that question.
I absolutely love your absentee ballot story. It's
so bad.
Do you watch The West Wing?
I do watch. This is part of the problem.
This is your Donna Moss moment where she filled out her ballot wrong and had to convince somebody to switch votes with her.
So this was one, I wanted to be CJ Craig. I am not CJ Craig. I was solidly in the Donna Moss moment.
I love you. I love you so much.
We can all be honest about ourselves.
Tell us what an absentee ballot is.
Sure. And I'm also going to plug that on securefamiliesinitiative.org, we have a whole blog post that sort of details what happens to an absentee ballot, so you know what happens after you send it in and where it goes. But an absentee ballot is just when you're voting not on election day from home. So a lot of states call it vote by mail, and everyone gets a ballot in the mail and they vote that way. Other places you have to request it very specifically. There are rules for how you qualify to vote absentee, but really it's just a ballot that you fill out at home or not in a polling location on election day. And it can be intimidating. I totally relate, Raleigh. This is my job, and I still, request my ballot, my spouse's ballot, and sit down and, go step by step because I don't want to mess anything up. It is really important. But there are so many people who are really good and happy to help. And there's so many resources online. And we are just one of many who are really, really trying to give answers. So don't be afraid to reach out to us, send Secure Families Initiative messages, send us emails. We will help you literally step-by-step coach you through because it is that important. And if we're this intimidated, we know our teens will be too. So we're trying to demystify it, even though it is really complicated.
Now, what happens? Oh, go ahead, Raleigh. Go ahead.
It's a great opportunity to learn those empowerment skills, right? Like this is where, so that I was thinking back, like I didn't sign the envelope was what I think it came down to. Like it was something really like silly where I'd signed on the front and not the back. My dog is crying because of how I was not able to participate in the American voting process. Like still the trauma lives with us, but we have done absentee ballots. We actually did them. I was thinking we hadn't done them, but we did do them one year when we were living in North Carolina. And I want to tell you what I did. I, still terrified to do it wrong, called the Board of Elections and was like, I want to make sure I have done all the steps correctly. Can you bear with me on the phone? And it was an opportunity to fix a step. So sometimes asking for help is really good. And SFI is a great person to ask for help, great organization to ask for help.
I love it. Now, what happens, Kate? I've requested my absentee ballot. I'm coming up across the deadline and I don't have my ballot. What do I do?
So, first of all, you can contact your local election office, and vote.org has great tools to find your local election office. You can contact them directly. If you are an overseas or military voter and you use that FFAT form, they will start sending ballots September 23rd, like literally 10 days from now. So that's a reminder to vote or to register as soon as possible, but also a reminder that to allow extra time. So the absentee ballots, especially, we know 2 years ago, things were taking longer than normal. Just watch it. If you're waiting for it, look for it in the mail, track your ballot. There are ways to do that, tools to do that on vote.org as well. But if you don't receive it, contact your election office. And then I will also say, there is a write-in ballot, a federal write-in ballot that if you get down to the wire, that's also available at fvap.org. So it's even, it feels a little bit even scarier than the typical absentee ballot, but it's one of those, in case of emergency, break glass, you can still get your vote in.
Awesome. So we have established that there are deadlines to register. Are there deadlines for returning ballots?
Yes. And this is, again, one of those it depends questions, because voter rules and election laws are so localized that there isn't an easy answer, like an easy nationwide answer I can give you. But there are deadlines to return ballots, and they depend by state. Some you have to return them, they have to be in hand at the election office before election day. Others acknowledge that military mail and living overseas causes delays, and so it could be up to 10 days after election day that they will accept ballots. Again, the best advice is to fill it out and return it as soon as you get your absentee ballot, just to be on the safe side. But yes, many states will accept them even after election day.
Okay, perfect. And what would you say is the best resource out there to keep track of elections and deadlines?
Sure. So on militaryteamvoter.com, we have an election reminder tool. So you can get on there and sign up to get reminders. And that isn't just for teens. It's great for adults too, because it will give you reminders of maybe those smaller local elections that you might not remember. So it's done by where you are registered. So you can get reminders about primary deadlines and voter registration deadlines and upcoming election days. So highly recommend it. It's worth getting those few extra texts a year to make sure that you're not missing your chance to vote.
Absolutely. And this is just a good opportunity to remind everybody in the audience, if you have any questions for these two experts, or maybe we'll say one expert and one super passionate, amazing person. If you have any questions for these two lovely ladies, or for SFI or NMFA about this incredible program, please ask them now, and they'll be answering questions obviously right now live, but they can also go back through the comments later as well. So if there's anything you want to ask, don't hesitate, because they're both great. All right, ladies, this is my very favorite part of the show. It is the dun 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 rapid fire, which sounds so intimidating and I love it, but it's really not that hard, hopefully. All right, Kate, we're going to start with you. Where do I go to find information that will be on my ballot?
Sure. Vote 11 and Ballot Ready are two resources that we love because they offer apolitical, nonpartisan, really straightforward information about what will be on your ballot.
Okay. What was the first one?
Vote 411.
Okay. Awesome. And let's see. How do I find my poll location?
Is it me again? Raleigh, are we going back and forth or am I doing this?
Listen, is it a voting specific question? Do we want people to have the right answers? This is where it's so important. You can bring somebody into the room. The reason that NMFA has partnered with SFI is we believe in voting, and we are going to go to the people who can help you and your teens do it. And we'll stand here championing.
Okay, thank you. Pat me on the back where you are. Okay. Find your polling location on vote.org.
Perfect. What do I need to bring with me to vote?
This is going to depend on your, yes.
See, I knew my answer.
Yeah. But again, vote.org is probably a great place to start to at least get to your state or to your municipality's regulations. But that's one of those things totally worth double checking before you leave the house. Make sure you have what you need.
Okay. Raleigh, here's a question for you. Have you ever worked the election poll as a volunteer?
No, but I'm going to do it this year, and I encourage everybody to do it. NMFA, in addition, like, listen, this is how much we seriously believe in voting in America, in addition to being in the Military Vote Coalition and partnering with SFI on the Military Teen Voting Project, which is so important. Get these kids to the polls, empower them to participate in the American process, friends. We are also part of the Vet the Vote Coalition, and NMFA is urging all of its employees to go work the polls if you feel comfortable on election day. I will be doing it. I have colleagues who are doing it. Our CEO, Bessa Pinchatti, will also be doing it. We are encouraging all military spouses who can and are able, military kids who are able and can do so in the precincts in which they are currently located. There's a lot of more it depends in there. But if you can, it's a wonderful thing to go do. I'm really, really excited about it. And I have heard from other colleagues who have done it in the past. And all of it makes me feel, here I am, America. But it's this is a thing I'm so excited about. And I'm so excited that my kids are going to go to school one day. They're going to see voters lining their hallways at various points during the day to cast their ballots for the future of this country. They know their dad serves this country and their mom is out there making sure that the polls are safe and open and you can vote. Yay. Go do it.
Kate, have you worked as a poll volunteer before?
I have not. I have never lived where I vote. So many states, you have to be a local registered voter to work the polls. That was one of the little caveats that she was referencing, but I have not. I would love to. I would absolutely love to. I think it's such a, as Raleigh was saying, it's just such a great opportunity to give back and ensure that democracy continues to work. They need people to work the polls. So if you are able to look into Vet the Vote and help, it's a great, great way to serve your community.
It is. It really is a sacred privilege. No doubt about it. Okay,
have you? Wait, no, Tessa, have you?
I haven't, but back in the day when I was in college, I worked in politics quite a bit. And so did a lot of the election stuff. So I worked in politics for a long time before I made the switch over to the government side, decided I really liked bureaucracy more than I liked campaigns. But I'm very heavily invested in our local elections. I track them closely and very much an advocate for voting. And I love the ideas of getting teens involved. I think it's really important for sure. All right, Kate, here's an expert question. So we'll let you answer this one. Who is eligible to vote?
18-year-olds, citizens. I don't have my very specific who's eligible to vote. Just one thing I should have printed out. Sarah, our executive director, will probably be mortified by my answer. But once you turn 18, not only are you eligible, but it is a great civic duty, and it's a great way to serve your community and make your voice heard.
Agreed.
And go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. You're good.
No, I was gonna start to jump into the next question, but Raleigh's taking that one.
Yes, the next question, Raleigh. No expertise required.
Yes.
When should you register to vote?
Now is the time to register to vote. Go register to vote. It is not too early. It is September. It is time to do it. Get your ducks in a row. Make sure that you know what you're supposed to be doing, that you have the forms, that you know how to fill them out, that you have the IDs you need, that if you're supposed to be signing the back of the envelope on top of the seal, that you already know that fact going into it. And if it needs to not be in pencil, also good to know. But it is now. The answer is now.
That's awesome. We do have a fun comment here from Sam Randall. I've worked the polls a few times. It's actually a paying position, not a volunteer. Great civic duty, though. I didn't know that that was a paid position.
I
That's
think
fun.
it's different. Like, I think that that's another one of the, it depends, and it's like, it varies by state. But it is a wonderful thing to go do. And I am so thrilled for the places that are helping ensure that staffing our polls is not something that requires people to take an income cut.
I love it. All right, ladies, our last rapid fire question. And I'm going to ask you first, Kate, and then I'll go to Mayor Raleigh. Words of encouragement, Kate, for our first time voters.
Absolutely. So you've been waiting, 18 years to really make your voice heard, go out into the world. And this is a great opportunity. Don't be intimidated. You have opinions and they're your own, and it's time to make them heard at the ballot box where it counts. And it really does matter. There have been elections that come down, local elections that come down to one vote. You could be the difference between who's sitting on the school board that makes rules for your high school. You could be the difference of someone, the future of your school, the future of your community. It's so worth it to make the effort, put in the time to fill out the forms, and go make your voice heard.
Absolutely. Great answer. Raleigh, words of encouragement for our first time voters.
You stole the words right out of my mouth, but this is like, it's what it comes down to. It's so simple, right? Like, America needs you. America needs you. And what America needs you to do is go vote. Go vote because your voice matters. Go vote because your experience matters, and go vote because the future matters. And it depends on you. Go vote. Take your kids with you. Show them the process. And then when they're teens, make sure that they too are ready to start the process. Go vote.
Absolutely. I've taken my kids with me to vote many, many times. I think it's great for them to see it. They love getting the sticker at the end. And I would say to any of you teenage voters out there, also don't be afraid to ask. When you get there, tell them it's your first time voting, because those little ballot curtain situations can feel a little intimidating, and you want to make sure you're doing it correctly. So don't be afraid to ask. And also don't be afraid to brag on the fact that it's your first election. It's really exciting stuff. I absolutely love it. Ladies, do you have anything else you want to say to our amazing PCS Grades audience about this important initiative or the incredible work that you're doing with your organizations?
I want to know if you plan to go vote. Can we do that? Can we do like a yes, I'm registered in the comments? Like, I want to know, are you working your polling station? Have you registered to vote? I have registered to vote. I'm very proud of myself because of all this voting conversation. I've been on top of my things this year, and I am registered. But I want to know these things. Can that be our final call to action?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us. Go tell your friends. Go post on whatever social platform is your most active. It is time to get registered to vote. Tell everybody in your network to do it too.
Absolutely. Kate, anything from you?
No, I would just add, if you think you're registered, double check your registration. We have a tool for that on securefamiliesinitiative.org. And then once you're confirmed, send a text to 3 friends and make sure they are registered to vote and their registration is confirmed.
Oh, I love that. It's like a little voting tree. Like, I did it. Now you 3 go. I love it. Oh, and we've already got some folks saying stuff. We've got Jenna's registering and voting in Georgia. Spouses voting absentee to New York. Amazing. Thank you. That is all we have for today with these 2 amazing women talking about military teens voting. Next week, we will not have a webinar, but join us live on September 27th as we chat about the My Vet Benefits app and why all active duty and veteran families will want this free download. Ladies, I cannot thank you enough for joining us today. Kate, you're such a wonderful voice of reason and expertise. We're so glad to have you. And Raleigh, your passion is just contagious. So thank you both for being here. Thank you both for being champions for not just voting, but America. I absolutely love it. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you.